Star Zeppelins. Like I say, Lucifer. My name is Lucifer Star. My first name was Star, and then later on I added Lucifer to it. Later on, I changed my name to Brian Briley, and or just Brian basically. Anyway, basically Lucifer White Star Lines of the LS or LC shipyard, which is also a slate yard as well. They sold slate. I had a couple of slate quarries that go back from 120 year 1200. Um, this is one of my airships, probably, although mine were usually white or something like that. Although we did do the silver color too. I think I had a silver thing for a little while. I wanted stuff to be nice and shiny and silver or something like that. Make it easier to see or something. I'm not exactly sure, or at least to be able to be picked up on radar. I'm not. I forget exactly what the deal was or why. We might have used them for broadcasting as well, music and stuff like that, because I believe they had broadcast things on there. I'm not exactly sure. We had a lot of different projects. You can see the buildings are white and black, basically Lucifer Star. Anyway, it's over now, and my white signs with my black lettering and stuff like that. And basically, I was the leader of Germany and the one who named America. I had dirigibles and aircraft. The one who also had American Airlines, Lusitania, Leviathan, LS Titanic, and LC ships as well, for Lucifer Combat or whatever. I forget the exact details of everything. Anyway, it's a long time ago, and there was a war and everything else like that. Anyway, and my different military officers or officers, grabbing onto my ship to put it away. They charge admission for seeing the zeppelins and all that other stuff, and they almost actually made more money on the ground than they did in the air because so many people would stop by to see them. They made huge amounts of money. Everybody loved to see them, and people paid a lot of money just to be able to go up in one, and to be able to say that they'd gone up on one. I think we might have discouraged having sex in the Zeppelins, but there were sleeper cabins where people could, well, make a child at 10,000 feet. So whatever, all that kind of stuff. The only regulation was people couldn't smoke, or we had a special room set up for smoking that to make sure that the fire and gases didn't get there. A very good ventilation system because it was hydrogen gas. Basically, this is pretty much what happened after Auschwitz, and basically the lessons learned or the things learned from Auschwitz site. I had a pressure chamber that was turning water into basically hydrogen, and where we made quite a bit of it, and then we set up facilities for making hydrogen because it was a fuel as well as lighter than air, and seemed to be a very promising fuel that was made from water. So anyway, like I say, at a certain point in time, we had the LS Titanic, the LS Leviathan, basically the first and biggest ships. I was a builder of the first big ship. Many people said that a big ship couldn't be pushed through the water. It would be too massive. It would be too impossible to push, and would take too much coal. And I said, nonsense. We'll use steam power because steam is a very good vital fuel and all that is. I mean, you can get a lot of power out of steam. And I believed in steam and felt that steam was the best, cheapest answer to actually getting high amounts of power. Um, Even more so than gasoline power. I don't know. Gasoline is another thing, but gasoline, it's harder there's less fuel variety for a gasoline engine. A steam pressure vessel can burn wood chips. It can burn coal. It can burn my jeans. You can you can burn trash in the old wood furnaces. We could burn you could burn almost anything in those things. Just add a bit of oil or alcohol, and I believe it was an oil alcohol mixture that they actually used to spray inside of the heat chambers basically. And we burned trash, we burned whatever. Those things would get up to a couple thousand degrees inside of there. And they could burn just about anything inside of those old Lancashire what's called steam pressure vessels. They're built thick and tough, like 1 inch thick or something like that, or fairly thick and tough, where you could just basically pour as much heat and pressure to them as you wanted, and they would never they would never burst or whatever. And they were very, very good. They could work at extremely high temperatures. And anyway, though, so the whole point is that basically Lucifer Star, I was this great epic person of flight. I invented the first aircraft and the best aircraft, also engines, and my smelting as well as mining facilities. And people are probably getting tired of me saying this stuff, but that's what it was all about. That's what LS Lucifer Star was about. The builder and creator of America, farming, like I said, also a genetic person as well. In long distance past, hundreds of billions of years ago, I created inside out exoskeletons, endoskeletons, and basically insects as well. Maybe even the flea, I don't know, although I think I didn't create the flea, that was somebody else. And I'm not exactly sure. I just did a lot of microbia, a lot of life forms. Basically, I was the genetic thingy. Anyway, though, but also ships and stuff like that. Some big, massive ships, and also paint as well. A lot of people said I went broke, I went bankrupt, or I died, or something like that, or that I was Howard Hughes, and it wasn't really Howard Hughes. It was Lucifer Star. It was me. I was the one who invested in Auschwitz and thought that Auschwitz and the other research facilities were vital. And building them and stuff like that. I invested huge amounts of money. And a lot of people were suspicious because I didn't really want my people talking to the outside world until we knew what what we were doing and stuff like that. And we built lots of massive, beautiful, huge aircraft, which are still in service today. There were a lot of women and children that were born at my Auschwitz sites, as well as on all my ships, like the Lusitania, the Leviathan. Like, people had sex, and usually it was consensual and all that other stuff, and they had a great time, and they enjoyed the food, they enjoyed everything, they loved everything that Lucifer Star was, me. And like I say, anyway, though, in the coming years, things would get confused and lost and forgotten, and also be a problem because other people would try and take over or whatever. But, I had millions of trillions, employing like almost 2/3 of the world's population, or the whole world population, basically. Anyway, that's what all the white is about. I wanted my people to look good in uniforms and everything else like that. So getting the first white suits, which were not exactly easy to get white clothes and all that other stuff. And anyway, though, yeah, so all the white officers, everything else like that, basically. And the first, that demonstration of the first and biggest, or I think that this was actually a historic aircraft or whatever else like that, or I forget exactly what this is. Anyway, though, it was confused, and a lot of people confused what was going on and everything else like that. But yeah, whatever. Lots of gorgeous women, lots of gorgeous aircraft. A long, long legacy of what is me, basically. And the flag. Yeah. And also the flyover. All the films. Everything was about, I had them do a flyover and show the aircraft. Basically, using film and TV and color schemes to promote the aircraft as well. I believed in colors, and colors were really expensive to be able to produce. I believe I forget if that's Renault orientated or something like that. This is like the Kennedy family or someone, messing around. I forget. They were messing around. Anyways, whatever. I don't really care anymore. That's supposed to be like Kennedy or somebody screwing around with one of my aircraft. I forget exactly. I don't really know. Anyway, I forget exactly. I don't really care. It's like, they basically got one of my old aircraft. It's like, and like had people refurbish it or something like that. It's like, ugh. Anyway, though, it was one of my aircraft. There was a war, and eventually, like a lot of things were eventually pilfered, and people didn't really take care of them, and made mistakes and stuff like that. It's an old classic aircraft, like that's really old aircraft. So that sometimes they were actually made out of cloth and not actually even solid aluminum. Sometimes they were made out of. We had a couple test aircraft where it's basically like a skin, like a tight skin over it, and not even solid aluminum and stuff like that. That's one of the zinc aircraft. They're very finicky, and actually I banned zinc from being inside of my aircraft at some point in time because it was just too dangerous. One little spark or a little bit too much heat, and they basically go off like a matchstick. So I think it was zinc or whatever else like that. You know, it's that kind of metal that burns. But some people were trying to cut costs or cut weight or whatever else like that, and actually were using it. And I was like, no, 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 you can't use that stuff. It burns. So anyway. We knew it was a danger and a problem, but